Next Wave DV's coverage of Cine Gear Expo 2011 is made possible by JAG 35 Affordable Solutions for Filmmakers, CPM Film Tools, your lightweight solution for caging the beast, Lightcraft Workshop, the perfect tools to create the perfect image.
Tony here from Next Wave DV, and I'm back with Steve and Jens from Zacuto. Now, you guys are fresh out of NAB. You got a ton of new stuff going on with the Zacuto films, and of course, new rigs are being popular, and the launch of the Z Finder. I've been hearing that's been really well received.
Yeah, the EVF, we've been getting some great reviews on it. People are loving it. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. Go out on the internet. But I think it's a big winner. You know, we're banging them out the doors fast as we can. So some people are getting a little upset that they're not coming out as quick as possible. That's his fault because he's the QC operations manager.
I don't want shit going out the door. Can I say that?
You know, we're all like, Jens, get him out the door, get him out the door. And he's like, nope. Every single one is going through a stringent QC process. You can tell them about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a whole Blu-ray that we've made that we play through it and go through all the menus and look for dead pixels and all that sort of thing. So it takes some, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes per. So I mean, if you add that
really
up,
more.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, I think it's more like 20 minutes per each unit before it ends up getting into a box.
Right.
So it's a big
careful.
process. Plus, we have our shootout. June 15th is. We've been working on this for, my God, how long? 9 years. Yeah, I mean, at least 7-8 months. You know, this is a monumental production. Enormous amounts of money went into it. It's been screened in Australia, Amsterdam, London, New York, Las Vegas, LA, and all of this is coming together, and this really great documentary that we put together, and that's going to be on our site June 15th. A lot of people are asking about it. So we got that. And we have our show BTS that we just put out, which I'm real proud of that show. I really like that show. It's a documentary about documentarians making a film. And it's really not about the film. It's about all of the emotional things that are happening behind the scenes. And, you know, they got 18...
Trials and tribulations of making, how hard it is to make a documentary. It's really what it's showing. Yeah.
It's the pain and the passion, man. It's there are tears. So anyways, I was very pleased with how that came out.
Episode 2 is about to be released, right?
No, I still haven't seen a rough on that yet.
Oh, really? Mandy has.
Well, I have not, and I'm the director, so it's not coming out. But so now that leads us up to this new thing, which is our Critics Season 4. A lot of people were asking us, come back for Season 4, come back for Season 4. And I was like, I didn't really want to do it. But now all of a sudden, we got a scheme that we're going to come back for Season 4, and it is a doozy. Here's what we're doing. We are going to, Season 3, actually, we had submissions where people submitted their videos. Season 4 is going to be a web series. I don't want to call it a contest, but it's going to be kind of like an American Idol, where you have to make a web series. And the web series, you have to kind of think about how that's going to progress through 10 3-minute episodes. Because phase 1 will be, you'll submit your episode. Episode 1.
Right.
And if it makes it to the top 18, then you'll end up on our show, and Phil and I will review the 18 different episodes, and then the audience will have a 1/3 vote. I'll have a 1/3 vote, and Phil will have a 1/3 vote. And the reason we're doing that is so it's not one of these things where if you have a lot of friends, you win. You're going to win on talent. So you can do it on any subject you want. It could be a documentary, it could be a drama piece, it could be narrative, it could be anything you want. But it has to be original content. And then after you make your first webisode, we pick, we're going to narrow it, drop some people out, and hopefully you're going to use some of that critiquing to make your webisode 2. And then we're going to go to webisode 3, and each time they're going to get smaller. And when you get down to 3 webisodes, each of those guys is going to get a collection of equipment that they're going to get to keep, and it's huge. They're going to get, from us, they're going to get our Scorpion rig. From Cartoni, they're going to get a Cartoni tripod. From Zeiss, they're going to get this kit of 5 prime lenses. They're from Kessler, they're going to get sliders and cranes. They are going to get, literally, it could be $30,000 or more worth of gear. And they're going to get budget to make their final episode where we're going to pick a winner. The winner is going to get $10,000 in cash.
On top of everything else.
And all 3 of these people get to keep all the gear. And then he's going to get a $15,000 contract to produce 5 more episodes. We're working on a potential now to have the final episodes be screened at Skywalker Ranch, and maybe with some celeb directors there watching it. So this is a contest and it's going to be played out over the whole season of Critics, and I think this is going to really bring some interesting talent to the table.
I'm excited to hear about that and see where that can go. I know that for yourself, you've been a big advocator of webisodic content, and shows like The Confessional with can't even think of his name. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. Thank you. Starting to get like Hollywood recognition of doing this type of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you, like, do you think that's the eventuality of where web TV, web things are going to go? Because people seem to have a shorter attention span on the internet. You know, sometimes.
I would disagree. I think what's happening is now with these boxes like Roku, and you can get Vimeo on your TV, and everybody's got going to have an internet-ready TV. I think that the difference between watching Netflix or Vimeo or like on my TV, I can just sit down and click on Vimeo, watch a video. It doesn't matter to me. I'm sitting on my couch. So the reason we want to go to Skywalker and show some of these big directors, Hollywood-type directors, is to say, hey, this is the future now. A couple years ago, we were making webisodic programming on the internet, and we were saying this is the future, and people were saying we were wrong. But I think we were right, actually. We didn't know exactly how we were right, but this is the future because your content is going to come from the internet. It's going to come from a satellite. It's going to come from a cable. It's going to come from Netflix. It's going to come from everywhere. So it doesn't really matter, And now you can have your own channel. You could have a Vimeo channel, and you could technically have your own content on your own channel, and people could go on the web and watch it on their TV at home.
You're your own network, essentially.
Yeah.
You can be. But I mean, the length, though, it doesn't necessarily have to be like 3 minutes. I mean,
No.
These could be much larger. It can take any form now,
Right.
which is great.
But by our show, we're making them 3-minute episodes because we could get zillions of entries, and we can't be watching, hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. We got to narrow it down somehow. But I think that this is the future, and I think we're going to really highlight some incredible talent because I know some guys out there I've already talked to here, some of my web favorites, and they're all in. So we're going to see some real competition here.
I was at a recent film festival, and they were talking about how to get your movie made or how to have content made, and there seemed to be still this whole mentality of like, you have to go through all these different channels. And in the middle of the film festival panel discussion, I kind of stopped everybody and said, look at the web. There's a totally different revenue stream that's coming in that's allowing people to be able to generate income on a smaller scale and be able to budget for those small films. Do you have any ideas of other avenues that filmmakers can go for, either these shorts or for longer content, that they can be able to get money for those?
No. I have been saying for years that you make a short film to better your film skills and show people your film skills, and to go to a festival and have somebody say, okay, I like your short film. You can't make money. It's virtually impossible to make money with a short film. And sooner or later, you have to have a monetization model, or you will have to work at Starbucks and you will have no time to make a film. So, we always did corporate video and, commercials and things like that. And that's how we made a living, and we made a nice living doing that, but At that time they didn't have the equipment to. You couldn't make a short film unless you had $1 zillion. But I have been telling people, making a feature film virtually impossible to get it released as an indie film. There is way too much content and very little buyers. And if you don't have star talent or star direction, you got an even worse shot at it. So, okay, you want to make a short film, fine, go to festivals, prove your prowess as a filmmaker, great. Making a feature, I really have never been a big fan of that. Now, making a web series that you could get millions of people hooked on the internet, different animal. Now you can have advertisers, you can sell products, you can do all kinds of interesting things.
But if you have that channel sort of established, like you're saying, you can showcase your movies, your longer form stuff.
You can,
You know what I mean? And you're going to get a lot more people watching it than if you got a couple screenings here and there, at some film festivals, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Really, IFC is the model for that. They are an independent film channel that shows features on the internet and on television. But again, it's much harder with a 90-minute film than it's going to be if you try to create a webisodic type program. Now, a perfect example is Felicia Day's The Guild. Here, she's got a huge moneymaker because she's speaking to a very niche audience. Us too. We speak to a very specific niche audience. Indie filmmakers. Now we've added a little photographers into the mix. There's nothing wrong. We have another buddy that came by here earlier, Thaddeus, who speaks to these EMS market. He has a show that speaks to them.
That's real specific, but
Yeah.
popular, yeah.
Yeah, so if you start speaking to a specific audience, you can start selling them very specified products that they're interested in, or you can get advertisers. So, I kind of believe in this niche market type webisodic programming, but certainly I think narrative could work as well. And I've also talked about the idea of creating a webisodic program that lives on big corporate sponsor type websites like General Motors, where they could create content that could compete with television, and instead of advertising on TV, they'd run ads to go to their site and watch the content on their site that they've created.
It's the destination to go to watch these unrelated, essentially, shows, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. These are future concepts. Creating a feature is sort of the past kind of concept. These are things that I think if you want to be able to be a successful filmmaker, you need to start thinking along these lines.
But it's a long form, like features, like 90-minute or longer, it's not going away.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is a Hollywood business, and it's really hard to get into. Basically, I mean, how many indie films do they put out about 165 pictures a year, Hollywood does. How many indie pictures are going to be in there? 1? 2? Okay, that's a tough nut to crack. So, I mean, I'm just saying, we believe in this sort of future kind of very creative ways of putting content out.
Well, and I think, too, for an independent production or independent filmmaker, something that's an entire feature-length film is kind of hard to swallow. And when you approach a short film, like you guys are talking about with your contest, it's a little easier to sort of digest, and you can kind of focus your energy into a smaller scale instead of having to do this mass. You can start to see episodes come to form instead of seeing a giant film that may fall apart before you actually see it come completely together.
I mean, what we're hoping to do is highlight talent. We're looking for talent. And then hopefully these people, I mean, there's a lot of people making content, but there's not a lot of talent. It's like anything in life, 5% of the people are at the top, and then there's a good section in the middle, and that's how life is.
Now that gear is so cheap, you're going to have tons of people creating stuff, but is it good?
Exactly. So what we want to do is we want to highlight talent, and hopefully by maybe taking them to Skywalker, if we can, in places like that, we could say, okay, here is talent. Now they may get taken into the television market, or I don't know where they'll use their talent. But the point is that talent is a rare thing and it needs to be found, and that's what we're trying to do with this contest.
It is kind of a talent show in a
It
way,
is a talent show, yeah.
for lack of a better term. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But and now one of the things that's very important to us is this is not some kind of 24 or 48 hour film fest, because Jens and I are strongly against those.
Why hamstring yourself? You wouldn't do that in the real world. You'd plan it out. You'd have the proper time, hopefully, reasonable amount of time to make your thing good and correct. So why, hamstring yourself by, okay, you only got X amount of time, short hours to do it, or whatever other restrictions. I mean, that seems so artificial to me. Why not give them a real chance to make something good?
Yeah, or you can't use a tripod or dogma or any of these kinds of nutty things. It's hard enough to make a good film with all the time and money and tools. Why the hell would you want to tie your hands behind your back? Yeah, right. I mean, it's near impossible to do that. So, each one of these episodes, they're going to have a month to make it. So I'm hoping that they're going to take their time, figure it out, come up with a plan, and
there are no excuses either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, we only had, 20 minutes to figure it out. Nah, none of that.
Now, the judging is going to go like this. They're going to be judged on that episode and how the story worked. Then they're also going to be judged on how that story worked within that episode and the previous episodes. And then they're going to be judged on cinematography, sound design, location sound, acting, screen direction, all the things, editing.
All the disciplines, not just how it looks. Right.
Yeah, no, this is not about looks. Sound is going to be extremely important in sound design, acting, obviously story. It's everything. It's, is this a good film, or it's not, does this look pretty? I think we've all got to the point where we can make shit look great. That's not an issue anymore. Now what we got to do is we got to make it sound great, and we got to make it be great. That's what this is all about.
It takes talent from every facet to do that. Everybody's been emphasizing that film is a community event, and you got to surround yourself. If you're not good with sound design, then you need to find somebody to do that. Otherwise, your film's going to suffer.
Oh, thank God for saying that.
I think a lot of the disciplines are kind of overlooked, like sound, for example, or just some of these basic things. Everybody's so concentrated on how just the image itself. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of one-man bands out there, and I'm not shooting them down. There are a couple of these Orson Welles guys out there that can shoot, edit, write, direct, score. But the point, I'm hoping that this will be more of a collaborative effort, like you were talking about, which is something that we come from a collaborative. But everybody who hasn't joined the film industry in the last 6 years came from a collaborative environment. Yeah, you had to. We needed engineers. We needed, you didn't know how to work. Yeah.
Assistants, of all types. So,
right.
Yeah.
You couldn't jump into an online edit room. The thing had a million different kinds of computers and stuff, and you needed tape operators and all this kind of stuff. So I think a lot is lost by not having the collaborative effort. Your sound man brings his skills. As a director, I would work with Jens was my DP. I would have my sound man. Those are my two key people on my set. And I would give them the direction of where I wanted to go. And then they would work with their crews to make that happen,
Everybody had a little to add to it,
Exactly.
what I mean? And it got better for that reason, what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, many times, I would have a vision of how I saw a scene that we were going to do, and you would come in and you'd say, okay, I want to light it this way. And
sometimes at the last second, you'd ask the PA, what would you do? And they'd come up with something that, whoa, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But that's not a really good idea, because it depends if you're working in a commercial environment, because sometimes if the PA talks to the client, then we get into this weird thing where the client's now talking to the PA, and I'm the director, and we have a triangle that's bad.
My point is that when you have a crew, you got a pool of talent and other ideas you can draw from, and
Absolutely.
Instead of just one guy.
No, and that's really what filmmaking used to be, and I'd like to see it go back towards that. And it's, but it is fun. Now you got a camera and Final Cut, and you can kind of do everything and whip them out in 5 minutes.
Really be successful and have entertainment that can compete with what TV is now and all that. It still needs to be that collaborative art.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to... That's really the point of the contest, is we want to show TV that, and this has really been our mission from day one with all our episodes, is we want to be able to show TV that we can compete with television on the web. And
they've opened it up. You can win Emmys now for
Yeah.
webisodic stuff. So
And that's really what we want people to do, is to create web content and compete with television. And then television's going to start going, whoa, what's going on over there? And they're going to want to buy those programs. And now you got something.
Very cool, Steve. Lots of great content, lots of great
Yeah.
stuff. Looking forward to
Always
seeing the
nice
future.
talking.
Thanks for your time, Jens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks you.
Subscribe to us on YouTube and visit nextwavedv.com for more news and training for video and filmmakers.